Amanda. Our next presenters are all from Jane K. Smith Cap and Gown Chapter at San Diego State University. Megan Isaacson recently graduated with honors from San Diego State University with her BA in psychology. She is the immediate past president and is currently on the conference advisory board. She is applying to medical school. Maxwell Louie is a senior international business major and the chapter president. He's an Associated Student University Council member and a proud member of Sigma Phi Epsilon. After graduation, he plans to attend law school and open his own firm. Alex Nelson is a senior international security and conflict resolution major and an Islamic and Arabic studies and interdisciplinary studies minor. He is the chapter's executive vice president. Alex has also held many leadership positions on campus and in Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Well, hello, everybody. In case it wasn't clear, I'm Megan. I'll let Max and Alex introduce themselves.
I'm Alex.
I'm Max Louie. Nice to meet you all.
So, this presentation will be about engaging busy leaders, which I think we all are. So, hopefully this will be significant and relevant to all of us.
So I'd first like to really thank Megan for her leadership last year, as well as for reaching out to both Alex and me to participate in this presentation. And of course, we gladly accepted. We're really thrilled to be here with all of you today here in Atlanta to really kickstart this conference, particularly because we're really passionate about the theme we're talking to you about today, which is engaging busy leaders. And we find it really relevant to mortarboard chapters across the nation. And today we want to really offer some techniques that our chapter uses, as well as some new and innovative ideas that we hope that you will apply to your respective chapters in this upcoming semester. And we really want to discuss, first of all, why it's important. And we want to preface this presentation by emphasizing that the survival of your chapter really depends on it. If you look at the traditional landscape of mortarboard across the nation, we're really comprised of a new pool of members each and every year. So it's really important to engage and connect with your members on a personal level right from the get-go. Otherwise, it can be really difficult to do a lot of these things. Have an on-campus presence. Increase your membership recruitment. Develop relationships with all of your advisors. So today, we really want to focus on these things and hone in on it to really engage these members right from the get-go.
First, we want to tell you a little bit about our chapter. We are the only two-time recipient of the Ruth Weimer Mount Chapter of Excellence Award, which has distinguished us as the top chapter in the nation in 2003 and 2012 at the National Mortarboard Conference that we are currently at. At the 2013 conference, we were the recipient of the Golden Torch Award, the second highest award a chapter can receive, as well as 17 Project Excellence Awards. Additionally, Marion Ross, who is better known for her role as Mrs. C on Happy Days, is also an SDSU Mortarboard alumni and was awarded the Mortarboard Alumni Achievement Award. However, so we are a very successful chapter, but most of our success can be attributed to our very involved university and all the support we receive from them. The university president, provost, and vice president of business affairs attend almost all of our events. Additionally, these are, in this picture here, these are the past three university presidents attending one of our events. Our university has an established honors council, which provides us with financial and physical support, kind of a general backbone of all the honors societies on our campus, which enables us to do a lot more. Also, 95% of our members maintain active participation throughout the academic year.
So this is just a brief overview of what we're going to discuss today. So the top part is more to establish how do we increase our membership involvement. The middle portion of our presentation is going to be this is how our chapter currently has done it and does for maintaining active membership status, which is usually through our point system. And at the end are some suggestions that we have that we actually haven't employed this year, but we hope to probably employ them in the future. So let's get started. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So chapter planning. This is something that I'm really familiar with, actually. We just went through this process, and it's just really important to establish a chapter calendar really early. You want to give your members ample time to really plan their class schedules and their work schedules accordingly, so they can really establish a commitment to your organization. you look at the foundational principles that our great organization is really built on. It's built on people who have a strict dedication to academics, people who have the capacity and even the desire to lead, and those who are committed to serving their community. And while it's great to be really invested in all these things and have a vested interest in it, as we all know, it can be quite a challenge to really balance out all three of these facets of mortarboard. So, with keeping this in mind, it's really important to establish this chapter calendar early to really benefit your members so they can become committed to it. Another thing that I think we really should recommend to all of you, something that we do, is to really try to get a consensus ahead of time. Utilize those resources around you, all the technology that you have. Utilize Google Calendar collaboratively. Get your members involved. So it can be really difficult to get, why we're all here today is to increase this membership involvement. And it can be very difficult to get 100% involvement from your members. It's not realistic. But you want to get a consensus on the best day and time at a standard once a day, once a month, that all your members can come. To try to really get a consensus of when all your members can get together, keep them updated on upcoming events, so they're really all engaged and in the feedback loop of your chapter. So really utilize those resources and keep them on page with everything.
So why exactly does using a point system work? So our chapter currently utilizes a point system. The reason why we can maintain this high level of active status is because we enforce a point system. So for our point system, the way it works, I'm going to explain it a little bit further in a minute, but we use incentives to motivate our students to actively participate. So you can see this is our last year's executive vice president wearing his nice fancy medallion and mortarboard cords. You should use whatever incentive works best for your chapter. This can range anything from graduation apparel to gift cards that you were donated from a local business. We will later discuss more incentives so that we can give you some suggestions on what we think might work best for you, but there's no concrete path here. It's really whatever works best for you in your chapter. The reason why the point system is so important is because it establishes your minimum standard, and you have to, once you've established a point system, you need to make it very clear that that is your minimum standard for participation, because that is why your members are going to want to follow along with this point system, because they believe that that is their minimum amount of effort that they have to put in. And we always encourage our members to do more than the minimum standard, of course. The other thing that helps with making a point system work is to have a way that your members can easily track their points. So whether that's using Google Docs through Excel, Blackboard as a point management system, that's really important so that everybody stays up to date. So not only are they not bugging your secretary 24/7 asking what their points are, but it's a good way for everybody to know exactly where they stand, and so that way you can gauge who's falling behind, so you can talk to them ahead of time instead of waiting until a couple weeks before the semester is over. Also, one of the other things, a note that our chapter specifically does, is we only allow our members to make up excused absences. So what do I mean by excused absences? I mean that your member tells you ahead of time that they are not going to be at an event. Usually I do not let somebody make up an excused absence if they tell me 5 minutes before that they aren't going to be there. But that's up to you and your discretion, and sometimes there's a family emergency that happens, and that's completely understandable. But the reason why we only let our members make up excused absences is because we want to ensure that they're communicating with us. Communication is what's going to establish your chapter in order to maintain the system as a whole. So it's good that they're telling you up front about RSVPs, letting you know when they are or not going to be at an event. All right, so let's talk about point systems. We previously used a non-weighted point system. So when I mean non-weighted, I mean that every event, every extra credit, every donation, everything is worth the same amount of points. At our chapter, we used a 1-point system before. You can make it 5, you can make it 10, you can make it 2.5. It's whatever you personally like, but in a non-weighted point system, everything's going to be worth the same. So when you're establishing your point system, you want to figure out what your level of active participation is going to be. We do a 70% Almost all of our members maintain between an 80 to 95%, but that is our minimum for what we will give them for their incentives. So, like, we give 2 incentives. We give a medallion for all active members, and then our members with the most participation get the mortarboard cords. So everybody that has a 70% active status will receive a medallion. So one of the benefits of using a non-weighted point system is that it's really easy to track for your secretary. It's really easy for your members to understand. So if you're establishing a point system for the first time, I almost recommend that you use a non-weighted because it's very easy transition. But then again, every year, everybody's different, so you can kind of gauge which works best for you. One of the disadvantages of using a point system is that every event is worth the same amount of points. And as we all know, not all events were created equally. So you can have members miss membership selection and make up for it through donating to your canned food drive. For our chapter, this wasn't working anymore because we were having too many members that had active participation, but we're still missing our large events because they were making up for it through smaller extra credit opportunities. So now we will talk about what our new system is, which is a weighted system. So we personally chose which events are the most important, that we want our members to attend the most. So we want them to realize that if they miss this event, they're going to have to make up more points. So you can do this based on how many hours, if that works for you. So if you have an event that you know is going to be 5 hours long, that can be worth more points, or versus an event that's an hour long. Personally, for us, it's more about the presentation. We want as many members at some of our more important events, so we want to make sure that we up the pointage percentage on that. We still do it 70%, so we calculate based on the total points, 70% for active status, which is our bare minimum. The advantages to this is that it encourages your members to attend the events that you want them to attend, which is, I think, probably, it's really helped our chapter and to help our members better understand how we want them to flow through our chapter. If they have to miss an event, we completely understand, we're all busy, but we want to make sure that everybody's attending our really important events that we have our university staff at. Disadvantages are, it is a little bit more difficult. Most of the time it's a little bit of math, a little bit of extra Excel. It's normally not a big deal, but it can be a little bit more complicated. All right.
So, one method for engaging our members that we actually haven't used yet.
So he's now going to start talking about some new ideas that we have for you about how to engage your members outside of the point system. Sorry.
Right. So like I said, we actually haven't used this yet, but we're about to implement it this year. Member Raffle. So basically every event, every meeting, every extra credit event, each member has the opportunity to enter their name into a raffle when they attend those events. Then, after a certain amount of time, either after each meeting or throughout the semester, maybe one giant raffle at the end of the semester, you pick a winner. And obviously, the more events they attend, the better chance they have of winning. And of course, incentives are the key here. Use gift cards, other prizes as incentives for the winner of the raffle. So it's a pretty simple, pretty easy way to engage a member and kind of add some value, a tangible value to attending meetings. Another way in which you can use this basically on an incentive system is a chapter member of the month. You can either have the chapter executive board or create a committee to choose an outstanding member each month. This poses a good way to engage more people. I think we can collectively say that creating a committee is a great way to engage other members of the chapter who aren't on the executive board. You see this as a big problem in many larger organizations when there can be some disconnect between the leadership and the average member of an organization. So this is a great way to kind of bridge that disconnect and it'll give them some responsibility and let them choose, a member who has been very engaged in the chapter, in the university, and in the community. So you can announce the winner of the chapter member of the month at the meeting, perhaps write a short bio about them, give them the recognition they deserve, and make them feel wanted and that they are worthy in the organization.
Yeah, so I'd really like to just build off of what Alex just talked about, and just another way to spark that membership involvement within your chapter would be to establish these extra credit opportunities. And as the leaders of your chapter, whether you're the president, whether you're the vice president, it's really the key here is to be really creative. Provide opportunities that really just further the development of your members, whatever that may be. Encourage them to host a lecture series or a workshop or host a community service event. Anything that furthers the development would be beneficial. So it's really up to you guys to provide a variety of opportunities to really engage these members. And like I said, it's important to do this very early because, again, the landscape of our chapters, the life cycle is very short and there's a lot of turnover. So it's very, very important to engage them and grab them right from the get-go to be motivated to participate in your organization. Another thing that I've been brainstorming throughout the summer to really implement in this upcoming year would be to encourage your members to collaborate cross-functionally. And what I mean by cross-functionally is to not really get pigeonholed in just working with your respective honor society, the 40 members of your organization. Really try to encourage them to branch out to diverse groups and what may be foreign disciplines so they can really network with people outside of our organization. So encourage them to maybe connect with service organizations or some business societies or other honor societies or fraternities and sororities, whatever it may be. But collaborating cross-functionally can be very beneficial. And again, creativity is key here, so encourage them to branch out and you will see good things from this.
Incentives, it's all we've been talking about for the most part. Just some examples of what you can do, kind of depends on your university obviously. But ask your student government if they have any extra funding, apparel from the bookstore that they can provide as incentives or potentially scholarships. Who doesn't love free money, And then see, obviously this is depending on the school, but see if your university can offer a parking space for the student or your organization during finals. Provide that as an incentive. And then just ask your local businesses or bookstore to donate a gift card, whatever they can spare. Usually anything has some value to someone.
So things to keep in mind. So not all of your members are going to actively participate. You have to expect that when you throw a party, you have to expect 10% of the people aren't going to show up. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And so you want to stay engaged with those members, obviously, because you don't want them to not actively participate. But expect that you're going to have some members that aren't going to be able to make it to every single event. We're all busy. We all have events. But it's just good to stay in communication with them because communication is key. Making sure that you're talking to all of your members, making sure that you're keeping your meetings, your emails concise. I personally prefer to send short, small emails often versus one long email because I feel like people don't really read them all, so it's okay. And most importantly, you want to be able to find a balance between scholarship, leadership, service, and social opportunities. We don't want everything, not every event should be exactly the same. They all should engage all three of these. And we also want to encourage people to socialize and get to know each other. So it's really important to just be able to find a balance between all of these items. We thank you all for listening to us. If you have any questions, please let us know. I'll be running around all weekend, so you can stop me at any point.
Thank you.